Okay, folks, here we go. All right, before we get further along, we're going to take one of these. This one should be able to be fun. And we're going to primer the two crew members that are on pennies. That's where they'll get painted before they get put inside these armored cars. And let's do a little bit of maintenance on here and take this stuff off if we need to. This stuff is very, very elastic. But it works great through the airbrush. I don't even cut it down or anything. And is there enough in here to do what we need to do? We need to put this on something. And all it's going to take is one drop. And then we'll get right back in the armored cars, because we did the dry brush this morning of just the Panzer Gray after the Agrax Earthshade. Let's put that guy over there. Should be out of the way there. And same thing with this guy over here. Rinse that. Ditch that. Did we get any on us? Very, very negligible. All right, let's take this and move it out of harm's way. All right, so we've got these armored cars here. And instead of doing them all at once, obviously we've gotten them all to the point of where they're all here. This stuff is really strange. These are plastic models, but it almost looks like they're 3D printed. And if you look at the wheel wells there, I probably have to, you can actually see little lines across them. Not the wheel wells, but the fenders. I'm not sure what the hell's going on there. All right, we need to find a dry brush we're going to have ultimate confidence in. Let's just get rid of these. We're not going to open those up just yet. We'll use that one. And what we're going to pull out is the Luftwaffe blue, which is a bluish gray. paint one of these armored cars. There's just a flat 231 on it. When I stopped doing World War II stuff 20 years ago, I don't think there was a thing about whether or not there was any blue in the German gray. But I happen to like a little bit of a blue tint. And some of it is due to, this paint fades and then what's left is that. It's a little bit more noticeable. Just like if you look at the U.S. tanks that are at that, they have them at a memorial there at the at Camp Blanding. They were painted all drab, which is a fairly dark color. But you look at the tanks there, and I don't know when they were painted last time. They're World War II vehicles, or many of them all are, but it's not like they were painted, 80 years ago. They have been repainted since, but they look very lime green. They give the impression that they were painted, a very light color. And that's just, due to fading and stuff like that. That's what's left over. Same way that if you look at one of my paints that I painted the Russian green, after it's been washed, it looks like it's very bright green. That's the color that's left on it. It's what's stained. The same thing with this. I like it to have a little bit of a blue hue to it. But 20 years ago, I wasn't aware that was a thing. Now they got people that make like washes and stuff like that. A blue wash to go over the German gray. Well, the thing I hate about washes is drying time. And this is pretty dry, so we should be able to just power through all this. Alright, now we need to get a turret for one of these. And the turrets are here. We'll use this as the candidate for this one. So let's see, we have another light source now that might give a better idea. Let's take a look at the difference between the Panzer Gray standard, and here's one with has some of this Luftwaffe blue dry brushed on it. And I've done that on quite a few models, and I actually like how it looks. So I think I am. I think I am going to go ahead and do all these in these colors, and then we'll go in and detail them in each individually. Got my new cup holder. Came in, so we can put our cup outside of our painting area. Thought about getting one for the water cup too. Okay, this is the other model that's the same thing except it's got the armor thing on the front. The armored plate on the front. Alright, let's start with the running gear. And of course this thing is going to have dust and stuff on it. These apparently had, I think, I read 100-mile radius with these antennas, with these type of antennas, 100-mile radius, which that's pretty far actually. Okay, then we'll do the chart for that one, which is the other one that looks like this. Okay, might as well do the third plastic soldier company. Happy Spähwagen Tuesday, Rick. Yep. Now this one we actually took the gun out so that we can paint inside the compartment. We actually had a game day. I forgot to take pictures of what we did yesterday, but we played some Command and Colors Napoleonics. And it was a really close game. It was a fun little game. I don't know that it's going to make me read it's not going to make me read Napoleonic history, but I think when we're done with this, we're going to individually paint these vehicles. The fact that you were able to clip all of those tiny pieces and get it all assembled for those older kids is nothing short of inspirational. Yeah, sometimes you just got to keep going, you know? You got to keep going. The old me couldn't have done that, but yeah, the fact that I was able to remake the antennas, that was the real problem. The old things are just the older kits are just really definitely not for beginners for sure. Even though their stuff is probably more to scale because the Plastic Soldier Company handles and stuff are a lot thicker than they should be. But, you know, they're wargaming models. They need to be more durable. So, am I going to Historicon 2023? I am not. I went to Historicon every year since I found out about it, starting in 2006. I went in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Then they didn't have one in 20. And I should say that I went for Wednesday through, except the first year, except 2006. Every 2007 onwards, I've gone from Wednesday to Sunday. Well, Sunday doesn't count. We'll leave on Sunday. But I've gone every year except 2020, where they didn't have one. And I went last year. Right? Did I get my dates wrong? Oh, in 2020, they moved it to November. So I can't go. November's a no-no month. And they didn't have it in July. And I don't really know what kind of a reception it was anyways, because I think there was pretty much restrictions and stuff on there. So, and then in... I went last year, and I'm not going this year because I needed vacation days for something else. So I am not going, and I probably will never go again to run something. I probably will just go as a spectator. I don't have a huge interest in going though. Honestly, the biggest draw would be to make the videos for you. Do more videos. I mean, those are fun to do, but I'm not going to run anything, bring anything up there. I don't need to go there for shopping, you know. It'd save a hell of a lot of money just ordering and have it delivered to your own house. And I don't really need anything, so that's kind of nice. those videos are so much fun. They're a lot of fun to film too. And I'm gonna do one for our show coming up in April. You know, now that I'm not running stuff, I don't have to, you know, get back to a certain time. One of the most annoying things about going to our convention in Tampa is the check-in at the hotel is at 4 p.m. on the first day that we go there on Friday. So in the middle of a game session, I have to go stop, run over, wait in line to get the hotel room, you know, to kind of take a, it's just annoying. Now I'll just walk over there and it's not a big deal. But we will definitely have some filming, for sure. I'm not committed to play anything at a certain time. So that should give us plenty of time to check things out. Go through the flea market in detail. I'm hoping there's not another estate sale. Man, I really want to get to the point where, at least with the vehicles, that I will finish them all, and then do them as I go. And I think that's normally something that would be impossible for most gamers, but I think we'd be able to get that done. Because, like I said, once I get these guys done, this will be 50, 58, 59, 60, 61, and 62 vehicles done since basically October 1st. So I'm on a mondo tear. But I don't have a hurry. There's no hurry when these have to be done by. They don't have to be done for a show. I won't be running anything at a show with these guys. You know, I got to do all the packing up and putting them away, and you know, and travel with them, and you know, and the game isn't going to be done. I'm probably not even going to run this at Mitch's house. It's probably going to be here only. So. Okay, there is the cannon for that. Let's do the next two. Is it 5 months or is it 4? All of October, all of November, all of December, all of January, all of February. Yeah, it's 5 months. Yeah. Without really being in a hurry. It's just nice to be, you know, in one weekend work on something and then go to do something totally different. Not totally different, it's a vehicle, but it's a different vehicle. It's not like I'm stuck, you know, painting the same Spearman or whatever. So creatively, it's been more interesting than normal. And I just found a scenario that involves a couple Panthers. So now I'm looking, of course, at Panthers, but I don't think I'm going to buy much of anything until the rest of the stuff is done. And that's the thing is, the stuff I have to work on, none of it is anything is stuff I don't want to work on. You know? Nordic, welcome. You know, none of the stuff that I have is like, oh, I don't want to work on those things. I mean, the thing that was probably the most questionable was those 1/87th scale Russian Primos. And those turned out just fine. And they're done. Well, the 235 isn't based, but short of that, it's done. wouldn't be Spähwagen Tuesday without appearances from everyone's favorite Nord. That's right. It's SS Division Nordland. So yeah, I came across a scenario that's a vehicle only scenario that involves like 3 M10s and 2 Panthers, and and it has only vehicles in it. Well, that's pretty reasonable. I need something relatively small to get people, get kind of comfortable with it. Job interview was a big letdown. I was better dressed than the interviewers, and to make matters worse, the hourly wage was well below the average for the job in the area. Yeah. Well, somehow you're making ends meet by not working, so that's good. I know you'd rather be working, but hopefully we'll have another job interview soon. One of the worst things about a job is looking for one. What is this? I think this is a spot where 2 vehicles were actually touching after I had the we'll just cover that up like that, and then I'll end up getting weathered over. When I had the wash on it, the wash is kind of Agrac's Earthshade is kind of thick, and I think I pushed 2 of them up against each other, and they kind of got stuck like that. You're working, if you take one of those, the wages will be gone from gas, especially if you said cost of living has gone through the roof. It is, it's stupid. It's just absurd. Stretch goal. Have you ever gotten burnt on a Kickstarter? I guess if you do enough of them, you're gonna get burnt on one. Been burnt twice. So what happens? You get your money back, and they just pull the rug out from under you. Get excited about some product that never materializes, or they just flat out stole your money and you go fight to get it back. You could write on and say, "You better give me my money back. I work for PayPal, and I will empty your freaking bank account, dickhead." You could threaten that way. Kickstarter would contemplate in P500 for wargame companies. Yeah. Honestly, I'd probably play a little more and try to buy it from somebody off eBay or something. I'm not one to be like, all right, I want to get this game. When's it come out? I don't know. When they get enough orders, I'm like, what the hell? That's like torturous. Don't get the money back. They string you along with updates to show that things are still in production or in development. Oh, man. So you got to jump on those Kickstarters when they've already met their goal and you're one of the people that are just hanging out for the picking up after the horses, so to speak. You look at pictures for this 233, and then there's a lot of them that are like in North Africa, and this vehicle didn't come out until Alamein was already going on. So, yeah, not a whole lot of use for them in North Africa. Tunisia, sure, but we're not getting into there. We just want to use this for Mother Russia. There was one of my favorite ASL scenarios for a long time was like one called Saucha 79, and it's State Farm 79, and it's like a late 1942 scenario, and the Germans have, their typical smorgasbord of all kinds of stuff, and they've got one of these 233s in it. I think it was a regular squad leader scenario also that got converted to advanced squad leader. Come to think about it, I never did play it in advanced squad leader. I played it with squad leader, but is it easy to set up a PayPal using conjunction with eBay? Yep. Missed a P500 for Barbarossa Army Group Center and Into the Woods and got them on secondary market cheaper than the P500. Wow. Well, good for you. Good for you. The first year burnt by was supposed to be delivered in 2012. Wow. It was Appendix N Adventure Toolkits. DC CRPG module. Supposed to be a box set of fantasy module for Dungeon Crawl Classics. Yeah. I got the eBay thing set up. I think I started doing eBay around 99. So after that, PayPal and eBay were one, or they were kissing cousins or something like that. And now I guess they're no more. I happen to like PayPal a lot. It makes it easy. Never had a bad experience with PayPal. And I don't buy the whole thing. The seller, it costs some money. So just mark your shit up. Mark it up 5% or whatever. But you've got some security there by having the PayPal as the middle meister. What's the other one? What's the PayPal alternatives? I don't know anything of the PayPal alternatives. The only one that I use is PayPal. Venmo, I don't know what that shit is. Venmo, and there's a couple of other ones that I've heard of. I don't know any of that stuff. Mine just PayPal's good enough for me. It was funny because when I went to I've had PayPal so long that when I went to the first convention, my first Historicon in 2006, one of the vendors would take They would take cash, which I don't believe in carrying any cash with me because it's a pain in the ass with coins and stuff like that. So you could do cash, or you could do checks. He took personal checks, but he couldn't take credit card or PayPal. And I'm like, at that time, that was 2006. You could pay me in PayPal. I've had it that long. I don't know how long ago was 2006. A while ago. Anyhow, it's easy to use. Never had a bad experience with it. Actually, with eBay, I've only had 2 bad experiences, and they weren't anything major. One of them was the guy wouldn't communicate with me, which is kind of the issue I'm having now with somebody else. But I'm not going to get into that. I've just kind of written off. That's not going to work out anyways. But, he just wouldn't communicate with me. And so, it's supposed to be a new kit and it didn't have any decals. And I eventually, I had to write a review that, everything went fine except they didn't give me any decals. And then of course, the guy gets, the guy gets wound up about that. Oh, you should have tried to communicate with me. Eat the negative feedback. That was before eBay had redone their ratings. So, I'd had this one black mark on me at one time because the guy gave me bad feedback, even though I was the one that purchased and didn't get the shit right. But I think I don't know how their feedback system shows up now, but like negative stuff is just different than it used to be. I don't know exactly how it works. The second Kickstarter was burnt. Journey to Overland, a solo tabletop role play supposed to be delivered in 2014. Wow. Getting the box out rules and map and stuff, but it was promised miniatures never materialized. Wow. That sucks. You got a lot of guys in your group, Rick, that like to do role playing, or they're mostly board gamers? Oh, this little wheel is having issues. Gotta make sure we don't break that machine gun. They're very, very delicate. Got 100% feedback. Yeah, most people do. I do. Because I had that bad mark that really wasn't even my fault. The guy was just being a dickhead. I tried contacting you. You're the seller. You didn't have you didn't give me a new item like you did. And then when I asked, hey, where are the decals? You played, disappearing act, and you didn't come out until, you saw that I didn't give you a favorable feedback because, you can't be communicated with, and you sold me something that was used that wasn't supposed to be. And then the other experience I had with it is some guy gave me neutral feedback because I sold him like this wooden kit and in shipping, like the little box open, and he had to spend like an hour cleaning it up. I'm like, okay, well, that's in the little boxes the thing came with. It came like a little compartment type boxes with, cannons and one thing and something. But other than that, that's the only 2 negative things I've ever had on eBay. I tell you what, I hate eBay from the standpoint of bidding. I won't bid on it. I won't, like, it's mine, and then get taken from me in the last 15 seconds. I'd rather not know it's mine. So I usually do buy it now, or I'll just move on to something else. Not worth the hassle, the stress. All right, let's rinse this guy. Drop him in there. I'm paying 15 million ton of armies. Most of my group are super casual. They don't play RPGs on their own, just when we gather at my house. Sometimes I feel like my friends are just humoring me when they play games with me. Well, that sucks. Is there any game that you've played, well, obviously we're talking about board games, that you're like, you'd never play it again? Have you made a top 10, bottom 10 list of games you'd never play again? I'll be right back. I think I'm going to get a little bit of coffee. I'll be right back. We're back. Let's see if this cup holder works with this. The world of modern designer board games, I can think of many games I just refuse to play. Possibly that Storm Chasers game with real-time dice rolling. Someone spinning a top in the middle of the board trying to knock everybody's tough around and acting like a tornado. You remember that what was that game that we had growing up? I think it's called Bermuda Triangle. And it's one where you've got like, you've got a board like this, and I think 4 people can play. And I think some people start in this corner, some people start over here, some people start in this one up here, and then somebody starts at the other one. And it's the Bermuda Triangle, and you've got these different ports you have to go to. It's a Milton Bradley game. And you got to carry your cargo from one, it's kind of like one of those train games. You've got to like take sugar from one place to somewhere else and you get cash or whatever. But there's some random event that you have this storm, and it's pretty freaking big. And there'll be a way you've got to, like every turn it moves, and there's magnets on it, and there's magnets on top of your little ships. So you've got to move it over there, and then you pray to God that your ships don't get sucked up by it. And it's kind of a neat thing. It's an old game from the mid '70s, You like deck building games, worker placement games, and Euro style games. Anything card games, dice games, hex and counter, miniatures, board games. In the realm of board games, I love Euros. I don't think I do. They don't involve combat. Justin, welcome. Pumas? Well, they're not exactly Pumas. They're Puma's grandfathers. I do have a Puma to do. You're not the biggest deck building fan because I typically play casual players who wouldn't be good enough to the cards. Yeah, I don't think bidding games are good for that. They're not very user friendly because people that are new to it don't really know not only what the value something may have, but at what time to, the timing of it all. Those you kind of have to play multiple times. I'm not really a fan of bidding games. The one game that is a bidding game that is a lot of fun is one of the last Avalon Hill games called, Vegas Smackdown or something like that. It's one where you're building a casino with parts. So you have the thing and you can build casino. It's cool. I like it. It's one of those games that, even if you're not winning, you're having fun putting little things together. Vegas something. I want to say it's Vegas Smackdown or something like that. You're competing to build a casino, basically. You know what you mean? Teaching 2 8-year-olds who get the concept down, but they're learning how the cards work, and even taking it real easy on them seem to win without trying. Okay, let's get a candidate. Who our first candidate is going to be. And it's not going to be one that has a crew. So I think I'm going to do I think I'm going to do this guy first. So let's get the wet palette out here. And this should be moist enough for that. We got some mold here. Let's just ditch this one. Let's just ditch this. I don't want to deal with that shit. We got any kind of smell? Little bit. A little bit, not too bad. Let's ditch this. We'll put a new one on here. Probably don't even need to use a wet palette. Let me go ahead and let this dry out. Let's not use a wet palette. Let's flip this guy over. Let's do it like we used to do it. Kicking it old school. And let's put these little guys up here so they're out of the way. And let's get a brush that maybe this one. These brushes aren't going to get very damaged for this. Well, I probably should use one that's a little bit smaller. That's probably all right. All right, let's get this Luftwaffe blue out here and a little bit of this sand. Or as it's called, dark sand. Which I think is actually a recommended color for somebody in the desert. I forget who it is. Might be the British or something like that. Oh, we got a split tail on this thing? We don't have time for that. I got a couple of videos I want to make when the girls are gone. Not that they can't be here for it, but I have a little bit more. I just put all these back in here, and then I didn't make any effort to organize them at all. This is the one we're looking for. This is the black one. But I got a couple videos I want to make. You know, I'm not talking about live videos, you know, instead of live videos. All right, this is the color that we've already dry brushed on here. Make sure that we've picked out things that need to be picked out. Yeah, well, what happens is I need time to do this. And if I'm making the other videos, and then I gotta edit them, although they're not gonna be really long. My video that I did on how I seal things is obsolete. I don't do that anymore. And I'm slowly getting the hang of airbrushing. I'm optimistic that I will be greatly improved in a year. So I am looking forward to that. How we can make some improvements to. And the last 3 times I've gone and used it, I haven't had a single jam. It started working fine, it worked fine the whole time, and I cleaned it at the end. So I think I got the operating pressure where I needed to be. And I haven't had to thin the paint. Which, you know, the paint I'm using is pretty thin anyways. So, you know, when there's other people here, I got more limited time to do this than if there's no one here at all. So we'll spend the time doing that stuff when it won't affect putting out this stuff. Literally like a flap. It's a flap here with a MG34. There's somebody knock on the door. Anybody home? Get out of here. We're busy. What paint am I using through the airbrush? Look, well, what have I used? I've used this. Straight through it. No problem. And I've used the AK paint. And I've used the Vallejo airbrush matte. That one shouldn't jam at all. Hell, it's made for airbrushes. So, working good so far. Airbrush is just working like it should. Every airbrush should work. It's not doing anything magical. It's just the other ones suck. You know? It's not like I've never used an airbrush before, but I don't know why anybody would recommend an air. You know, half of the problem I was having the airbrush before was that it was a siphon kind, and I would rather never get an airbrush than a siphon kind. When I painted all my mats, it was a little siphon airbrush, and I didn't know any better. And watching the videos on it, and I was just getting the one that was $80 worth. I think I got my $80 worth out of it. But I don't want that kind of trouble, man. It just doesn't, it isn't worth it. It isn't worth it. But it's nice being able to go out there, spray, and not have any smell. I'm not even using any paint. You know, I'm not wearing a breathing device. It's all going away from me, and it's just a tiny little amount. You know, I am having to wear a little thing on the top of my head. You know, because I don't have good lighting out there. So if I'm not doing it in the daytime, with the garage door open, I'll wear one of those little things that works on 3 AA's, and it's as bright as this, you know. And you everywhere you look, you have light, so it works pretty well. Ask me when it's 90 degrees in there if it's still working pretty well. Oh, we'll just plan on airbrushing when we're already dirty from work and we got to take a shower anyways, you know. Just don't want to fight with it. And so far, I think we're over that hurdle. I don't think that's going to be a problem anymore. Not with this thing. Same reason I don't want a 3D printer. I don't want to fight with it. My hobby's not about fighting. But I did not care for the 8K paint a whole lot, dry brushing it, because it's really watery. But if we're going to airbrush it, hey, it's perfect. And I was still able to dry brush it. It didn't feel, it wasn't a good feeling. It wasn't a feeling of confidence. Man, this wheel is really, really, really loose. You know, let's just hope it lasts long enough to put it on the base. And then we'll never have to worry about it ever again. There we go. I'm glad this hatch isn't open, because if there was a guy in there, he would not be comfortable. Decided to forego games of managers in favor of finishing a few hundred AWICW. Want to total eliminate the amount. Oh man, I forgot to tell you that I looked at your stuff, and man, you got a lot of guys painted. All those guys you showed me, did you paint those, and how long did it take you to paint them? And what are they based for? Because it seems like they're based in a way that you could use them for lots of different rule sets. Maybe you were telling me you were going to do that. Because they're kind of like in an open order, but not. In other words, they're not like too tight, where they might be really restricted to what you use them as. You know, ultimately, you could probably base them however the hell you want, use them for anything, as long as both sides are based in a similar fashion. It doesn't really matter. And if you're building the stuff for both sides, well, there you go. Painted them all. It took me about a month or two to paint them. Not happy with the basing and think of going back with Vallejo gel for it. What did you use other than the Vallejo gel? I got to redo all the basing on all my 20s. It's sad looking. At least the figures I'm happy with. It's just the basing is sad. So I saw a picture of this, which I thought was really cool. It had an iron cross here at the top on this panel on this roof. So I'm going to do that there. We're just going to do one there, and then there's going to be a pair on each side here. So that's what we're going to go with. Not an iron cross, a Balkenkreuz. Iron cross would be the modern Bundeswehr. Playground sand, static grass, and woodland scenics flock. Oh, I had all my stuff using woodland scenics flock, and I think time has moved away from that. It just doesn't look like it used to. All of my 20s used woodland scenics flock. Okay, let's mix some of this sand in here now. And pick some of these details. So everyone built Hell Caesar miniatures, early and pure Roman legionnaires. Not me. Not me. I don't do 28s. I'd never get done. Would never be done. That's just too much time for me on the each. Is Hail Caesar a warlord? Well, so far, all the plastic figures I've painted, which has not been very many, I've actually been pretty happy with. Warlord Games, okay. And then who makes SPQR? Because that's kind of like the competition for it, isn't it? Or is SPQR more like a skirmish type game? I can't keep all that stuff straight. It'd be just like somebody would get confused between DBA and DBMM, and they wouldn't know what the difference is until you're playing it. Then you're like, oh, okay, that's what the difference is. Only 124 miniatures on those bases. Man, that's a lot. But you could probably, by the fact that you're painting them in batches, that certainly cuts down on the. It cuts down on the time. It just, I run the risk of possibly getting burned out on it. You just build for fun and hobby. Okay, cool. Yeah, you can do them however the hell you want. Instead of how they dictate you. That's kind of what I'm doing here for fun and hobby, knowing that there might be a chance of using them in battle. And some people don't get that, but what about the people that do 1/35th scale models? There's no chance of them going into battle. So the fact that there is a chance, so you're saying there's a chance. I am exactly saying there's a chance. Yeah, burned out. Yeah, I did too. I remember when I was painting, I think 24 Roman figures at once. Yeah, I was painting all the Legionnaires. What a pain in the ass that was. Chaos Warriors from the early 80s and 90s, yeah? I mean, when they first came out, they were cool. You know, they give you like the name of the slaughter bases, and they give you the name of what it was on that slaughter, and you could see what they were. That's cool. I just don't care for their business practices. You know, they don't appeal to me to like discontinue shit. And I'm a slow painter, so it doesn't matter what their business practices are. I don't have time to get into fantasy and science fiction, but so it doesn't really affect me per se. But other folks, yeah, probably. Get everybody all hot and heavy to play a game that has cool pictures, and then a year later they're like, well, we just decided to not pursue that. Abaddon the Despoiler. French name? Abaddon? Yeah, the price on Warhammer's out of control. They gotta pay for a lot of advertising, but I'm like, well, why are you advertising so damn much? You know? You gotta pay for all their overhead. You guys have one of those Warhammer stores anywhere near you? I saw one time in, I want to say it was in Tennessee in a mall. That was many years ago, though. Otherwise, it's a tiny store. Yeah, I wonder how many those Warhammer stores they have. All right, I'll take a pee break. I'll be right back. Port Huron. Detroit has tons. Lord Croak model from a Seraphon. Somebody was telling me, I don't think it was one of you guys. It might have been one of you guys. It was telling me that the people that paint the stuff for Games Workshop, like the pictures and stuff they have, is almost like a disservice because they're painting it to a level that most people can't aspire to. I don't know who was telling me that. I could see that. Doesn't affect me that way, but not exactly a noob at the hobby, so I'm not really sure how these type of things affect newcomers, because I haven't been a newcomer in multiple decades. That was me. You said that. Okay. I like your other saying better. You think so? You think it? You've spoken to some new folks, and it's a hell of a mountain to climb. They do have some good painters. Yeah, we definitely have to switch back to doing only one vehicle at a time at this point because, man, these things have a ton of detail compared to the Skytrex T-34s. They don't have, those damn things don't have anything. Let's put some discolorations in here where these guys decided to get inside the vehicle, because there is an access point here, the little double doors. And they put a gas can right in front of this one. That's an OSHA violation right there. As seems to be the case, that's why you see many hardly painted Warhammers. People got into the hobby in the pandemic, then found they couldn't paint. Well, I know when the pandemic first started, it was impossible to get craft paint. Craft paint was out everywhere here. Like, people were doing crafty stuff that had never done crafty things. And it takes some effort to hone the skills. It's not like I can just go and pick up a guitar and all of a sudden, I'm a pro. It takes, well, that's even a worse example, but there's so many things. The biggest thing is experience, knowing that, okay, to get this done at a level that you're happy with, it's going to take tens of hours. Are you willing to do that? No. Well, then you're not going to be happy with probably how it turns out. There's some shortcuts you can do, but not if you want to get to the level of the stuff that's in magazines and stuff. So, I don't know that we're going to do it a whole lot more, because by the time you put the weathering on there, it's going to highlight some other stuff as well. And these vehicles are going to be pretty darn dusty, because they're going to keep... These are the ones that kick up a ton of dirt and rolling around going 50 miles an hour. Let's... Yeah, now how does this... Man, I really got to step away from things to be able to see what's... Yeah, it's a little bit highlighted. We don't want it super bright. You know, still paints are great at the end of it. But we're gonna put a cross underneath her decal. I think that'll be a nice touch. I think that'll be a nice touch up there. If you have a hard time painting, just do dry brushing. Absolutely. Same thing here. The funny thing, I spent weeks trying to find a puzzle to build when the pandemic started. It took you forever. Painting takes time to learn. The more you paint, you're going to be. Yep. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to stop for the night. It's after 9:15 and I'm pretty tired, but this is the first one we're going to finish. We're going to finish this one before we move on to the other ones. And this one's kind of one of a kind. But thanks for stopping